Hello and welcome to this session. I just want to make sure that I'm audible. So if you can hear me, just raise your hand so that we can get started with today's activity. Good. So we can see confirmation from quite a number of us that indeed audible on your end. So welcome to this session. And before we get started, I just want to make sure we are recording. So just a moment. Good. So welcome to this session, which is our annual African Online School of Applied Research Skill, Corporate Social Responsibility activity for this particular year. And in today's session, we are going to be examining referencing using Mendeley desktop software. We are all aware that there are several softwares that we can use for the purposes of referencing, including Mendeley desktop, Mendeley reference manager. We have EndNote, we have Zotero, we have Citavi. So we have quite a wide range of them. And we will, as we start looking through the Mendeley desktop, we will also ask ourselves of what is its advantage, maybe relative to the other software that are out there that could potentially or that are doing a similar sort of thing. Now we just need to put some ground rules so that we ensure that we are progressing in a systematic and in a structured manner. So number one, as usual, and we know this in the many Zoom sessions that we typically attend, the need to stay muted unless you're addressing us so that we don't have interference from the background noise that you could be that could be there based on where you are. So anytime you need to address the meeting, then you are encouraged to raise your hand so that again we don't have multiple people speaking at the same time. And for you to raise your hand, at the bottom of your screen, you should be able to see somewhere or an option for participants. And when you click on it, you will be able to see all of us that are in this particular meeting. And there's going to be an option for raise your hand. And you can raise your hand and I'll be able to call out your name and you can address us. Then we also have the chat function that you can use to make comments, to raise questions as the session is going on. So sometimes you might find that there is something that has caught your eye and maybe you don't want to forget, then you can be able to, put it on the chat function, which as we progress, I will from time to time just be able to check through and address any arising issue. So we are expected to have about 60 to 90 minutes essentially to go through today's presentation. Now, what are some of the activities we are going to do today, right? So number one, we will look at the CSR program so that we are also aware what else is available under the corporate social responsibility, which is the time that we give back to the community, to our stakeholders, and so on. So we shall have a brief examination of what else is there. Then we shall go to the issue at hand, which is the Mendeley desktop. We shall be able to look at it and see how to use it in respect to referencing and citations. Then, of course, we shall have a question and answer on the arising issues in respect to the Mendeley desktop software, or in respect to the CSR program. And then finally, we shall have a way forward on how to progress from today going forward. So that, in a nutshell, is what we expect essentially, to go through. Now, let's talk about the CSR activities. As we've mentioned that the 2023 CSR activities, and we can see our theme there, leaving no scholar behind in matters referencing, right? So that's what we want to pursue for this particular edition. And in that regard, because we want everyone to be able to undertake their referencing using a software. And what is the advantage of that? What is the advantage of using a software in doing your citations or in doing your referencing? Number one is, you don't want a situation, and for me to illustrate that, let's go to, let's get just a typical thesis. So there's no reason why this thesis has been chosen other than it is a thesis, and we can use it to illustrate what we want to illustrate. But other than that, there's nothing unique about it that has made it to be chosen. It's just a random one. Now, as the scholar is writing, they need to keep on making references. They need to acknowledge the sources that they have utilized in their thesis, right? And the expectation are twofold. Number one, we expect that this citation is in the reference list. That's our expectation. Number two, we expect that the item in the reference list is properly formatted according to APA 7. So I know these are universities in Kenya. I know they are using APA 7, right? So that's the expectation. So now the question is, why use a software? Why not do the process manually? One, you don't want a scenario or a situation where the item in your work, in your document, are not in your reference list. Because as you write your document at master's level, you are expected maybe 20,000 word count. At PhD level, you are expected 50,000 word count. And as you are writing, you keep on adding and removing content based on the feedback that you are getting from your supervisor. So if you are doing these citations manually, let's assume you delete this paragraph for whatever the reason, right? So if you've done this manually, it means that you need also to go to the reference list and remove it, assuming that it is not there anywhere else in this document. So that becomes tedious, having to keep track of what is in the document and what is not in the document, so that you ensure whatever is in the document is also in the reference list. And the supervisors normally check that very easily, because all they need to do is to open randomly a page in your thesis and find a reference, go to your reference list and check whether it is there. Then open another random page, another random page. If they just find one that is missing, then you just get a blanket feedback that all your references are not in the reference list, but then they will not tell you this is the one that is missing, for example, because they've just sampled across the pages. Good. You also don't want a situation where the references that are in your reference list are not in your document. Because we've said as you are writing this document, you keep on adding and removing content. So we want a process where that updating is automatically. Then number two, the other advantage of using a software is that once you start, it's time to publish, you will need to extract a paper from your thesis, a journal article from your thesis. So for example, if it is at master's, maybe you need to publish a single paper, which is an extract. It is a component from this thesis. And in that paper that you extract, you will need to generate a reference list for that paper. So you have, for example, a thesis that is 200 pages, right? And you've extracted a 15-page article, which you now need to also have a reference list for that particular journal article. So again, you don't want to update those references manually. Good. So that's also the other advantage of that. Then, for those of you who could use Mendeley, specifically Mendeley, in a process we call Sieve and Write, and for the members that are undertaking the writing class, that is one of the modules. You will also be able to see how to source or how to cite documents or reference materials that are within a particular range. So let's assume, for example, you had reference materials for 2023, for 2022, for 2021, for 2020, covering the same subject matter. So when you're using the software, you can be able to prioritize, for example, citations or references for 2023 before you go to 2020, before you go to 2021, because you also don't want to be told that your document is very old. The references in your document are very old. So those are some of the advantages of using a software. So we are saying that one of the theme for this CSR is leaving no scholar behind in matters referencing. So what are the activities under that? The activities under that are threefold. Number one, there was an expectation that each one of us have enrolled to the e-learning version of this training, which is free. So there was an expectation that each one of us have enrolled to this particular course that is free of charge. So that as we are now engaging today, then you are able to also further have a revision on the same in a very systematic manner. So all of us are expected to enroll in this particular course. Once you are done, the system will also send you assignments. Remember, under African Online School of Applied Research Skill, it is competency-based. It's not cramming. It's not just listening and cramming and taking notes. No, it is doing. You have to do. If you are told, you are shown how to cite, you must cite. And the only way you know that you know is by doing an assignment and practicing and creating what we call a portfolio of competencies. So each one of us is expected to enroll for this, all right? And once you are done with the course, right, the system will also issue you with a certificate of completion that you've completed this. So for those of you in academia and things like that, then that could be useful. So that was one of the activities. Then number two, we also have another activity still related to matters citation, that is on the Mendeley Reference Manager. Remember, this one is on Mendeley desktop software. This one is on the Mendeley Reference Manager software. And you can take either of those. All right. So this is also another, free activity or free course that you can take for this particular month. So it's just available for November, because this is when we are doing CSR. So after November, then there's going to be a price tag. So this is also another activity that is currently available under the CSR program. Then we also have the session that we are undertaking today. So you can see Mendeley using Mendeley desktop Zoom session, which is the activity that is now currently ongoing, and it is part of the CSR program. Then finally, we also have the scholarship, because you realize that Mendeley is just a small fraction out of the entire process that you typically need to undertake in thesis writing. So there is a scholarship, and where we've said we intend to offer a full scholarship to at least 30% of the qualifying members, right? The ones that apply, at least 30%, then they don't need to pay anything. The rest of them will be given partial scholarship based on financial need and academic need and things like that. Again, this is something that is active until end of this particular month, right? And you can click on it and be able to see what it is all about, and the purpose, the nature, the skills to be covered, the scope, eligibility criteria, all those many dynamics that could be required of you, or that relates to the scholarship, has been appropriately updated into the e-learning. Good. So those are the CSR activities that we are doing for this particular month, and we are all encouraged to take advantage of some of these opportunities at this point in time, and also to encourage our friends and colleagues to be able to undertake some of these activities. Good. So let's get to today's session, which is about Mendeley desktop. And some of you could be wondering, what is the difference between Mendeley desktop? Because we've heard there is Mendeley desktop and there is Mendeley reference manager. So some of you could be confused on what is the difference and which one do I use, right? So initially we used to have Mendeley desktop, which is being phased out in favor of the Mendeley reference manager. So the company Elsevier, which is the company involved in the development of the Mendeley products, is phasing out the Mendeley desktop in favor of the Mendeley reference manager. Then you could be wondering, if that's the case, why learn Mendeley desktop, or why am I emphasizing on the Mendeley desktop and not the Mendeley reference manager? Right? So in my view, both of them, if your concern is primarily undertaking citation, either of them will work just fine. Whether you use Mendeley desktop or you use reference manager, if the purpose is primarily to cite, citation and referencing, either of them is okay. There is no challenge with that. However, we also use Mendeley desktop. This particular software In the process of writing, and as I have indicated, the members that are in the writing class, these are some of the things we shall do in the process we call sieve and write. So we also use it in the process of writing. In the process of that thing I am calling sieving. And you could be wondering, what do I mean? Think of it this way. If you are undertaking your writing, okay, there are some people, their strategy is they will go to the library and they start reading the materials until something pops up from whatever they are reading. So they have a physical document with them, or they have an online document with them, and they are reading systematically until some idea pops up from that. The problem with that is, in terms of your productivity, takes time, right? In terms of how many documents you need to go through so that this idea pops up, that could take time. So we normally use Mendeley to be able to sieve through mass documents and look for whatever we are interested in. So for example, if we are writing a document, let's say on organizational performance, and we are interested with a definition of organizational performance. And in our Mendeley, we have, let's say, Mendeley desktop. So this is the reason why we are using Mendeley desktop, because those are functions, you will get them in Mendeley desktop. And they are very cumbersome if you try to do them in Mendeley Reference Manager. So in the Mendeley desktop, then in these documents that we have downloaded in their hundreds or in their thousands, and they are there in Mendeley desktop, then we want a very quick way to be able to sieve through them and extract that definition of organizational performance, and extract the indicators, for example, of organizational performance, and extract other scholars that have similar definitions, extract other references or scholars that have divergent views. So we typically do that in Mendeley desktop in the process of writing. And that's why we are saying, if primarily your concern is just citation, any of them will work. But then if you start thinking of what other additional value, what other additional functions can I use this software for, then you will find that Mendeley desktop is a little bit more versatile compared to Mendeley Reference Manager, despite Mendeley Reference Manager being a newer product than the Mendeley desktop. Then another drawback of Mendeley Reference Manager is the need for internet connectivity, because most of the time in Africa, we are working in internet constrained environment. Good. So we've now known the context in which the difference between Mendeley Reference Manager and Mendeley desktop. So that's out of the way. Now let's get to Mendeley, and we first ask ourselves where we get the software from, right? And when you come to this particular, and I have sent the link in the WhatsApp group for those of you who are members of ours on WhatsApp group. For those of you who are not, if you come to the homepage, you will see where to join, right? And later on, I'm going to also drop a link. Good. So you will see where you can join immediately. And later on, I'm going to drop a link in the chat. So where do we get this software from? So when you come to this course outline, you will see all the things that you require, including the link for the Mendeley desktop, is at this particular point. So you can click on it and be able to download the Mendeley desktop software. Then you've seen another terminology there, Mendeley Web Importer, and shortly we shall learn on what it is. Yes, Samson. You can unmute yourself. Oh, sorry, I've muted you again. Just unmute yourself.
Sorry, we are not able to follow your slides. We are still on the CSR one, which says thank you.
Oh, sorry for that. Let me just inquire, how many of you can see a version of the website? Just raise your, because what I am now, where I am now is on the website. How many of you can see the website? Okay. Just raise your hand if you can see. I'm projecting a part of the website right now. Wow. Okay. So just a moment, I restart sharing again. Good. So if you can see a part of the website right now, are you able to just raise your hand just to ensure we are on the same page? Good, good. So quite a number of members confirming that indeed now they can see what I'm projecting. Thank you for that, for bringing that to my attention. So we were in the process of saying where to get this software from, right? And we are saying when you come to thehausas.com, there's a link for the sub page for the course, a complete guide to citation and reference using the Mendeley desktop. And I have provided this link in the WhatsApp group. But where to get it, in case you don't see it on the WhatsApp group, if you come to the homepage, hausas.com, if you come to the homepage, on these sliders, the things that are sliding, you will see we have this particular place talking about Mendeley desktop. And when you click on enroll now, it's going to take you to this particular page on the Mendeley desktop. And this is where we are also saying you can enroll to the course. And then we are saying to get the software itself, we have these useful links for the course, and I have already provided for you the software for the Mendeley desktop. So you can click on it and you're able to download and install it normally, the normal way you install a software, by just clicking next, 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 and accept. It's a free software. It's not being charged. Good. So we now know where to get the Mendeley desktop, right? Then we also have additional softwares, and we shall, as we progress, we shall know what they involve. But before you start the course, ensure that you have installed all of them, and as we progress, we shall know what essentially they are for. So after you install your software, I just want to open it now. And let me just see whether, I don't know whether we are seeing, just a moment. Good. So we have the Mendeley desktop, which is what I want to open up the software. So meanwhile, as it is opening up, for you to use the software, you need to have the credentials, your username and password. So for me, on my Mendeley, I've already inputted my username and password, and I have clicked stay signed in. But for you, you will need to create your username and password. So where do you create your username and password, right? And we are saying when you now go to Elsevier, or even when you just type Mendeley and you search, you'll be able to see the web page for Mendeley coming up. And when you click on it, we have somewhere written, create an account. Or here, create a free account. So you create an account so that you have a username and a password. So you can already see for me, this is my username and already my password is there. So you will need to create a username and a password, right? And it is that username and password that you shall use to log in into the system. Some of these steps I've already explained step by step in this particular course. Good. So let's wait. Our Mendeley is opening up. But as it is opening up, let's ask ourselves the first step to get started. The first step to get started in using Mendeley desktop is able to ask ourselves, how do we get reference materials into the software? For you to undertake citations using Mendeley desktop, you need to get the reference materials into the Mendeley desktop. So this is how the Mendeley desktop looks like. So this is my Mendeley desktop, right? So we need to ask ourselves, how do we get the reference materials? First, don't get so worried about the menu and what you are seeing, because we shall move systematically as you see what we need to do. We are saying we need to get reference materials into our Mendeley. So these are the references. These are reference materials that you can see on these where it is written all documents. And you can see for me, when you click on it, there's about 85,000 reference documents in this Mendeley. So we are saying stage number one is how to get our reference materials into Mendeley. Now, there are several ways of doing that. The easiest being drag and drop. You drag the material from wherever it is and you drop it into Mendeley, right? And that's what we precisely want to do. So I'm just going to get into wherever you've put your documents in. So, like now here I have this particular folder, OurSARS 15, and these are reference materials. So all I would need to do is I can drag and drop it into Mendeley. And you can see it, checking whether there is a duplicate. You can drag and drop several, like now, like 10 or whatever the number. You click on it, you click the shift so that you highlight all of them, whatever the number, and then you can drag and drop them. So you can see 14 of them, I hope we can see. And we drop them into Mendeley. And down here you can see importing 14. Now, as you drag and drop, two things are going to happen. Number one is you will see the item. When you check down here, you will see 1 out of 14 or 1 out of whatever the number is being put into your Mendeley desktop. This Mendeley desktop is where? It is on my physical device. It's on my computer, right? So Mendeley will also try to create an online backup of the same thing if you have your internet on. And that is what now you are seeing, completed one of 15 tasks. Which tasks are these? It is putting these items into online. Online where? You created a profile. We created a profile. This profile, the profile here, it has an online storage into the cloud. That's what Mendeley is trying to do. So if you are in an internet constrained environment, then you can cancel this. Like now for me, I normally don't like things going to the cloud because again, I don't have that kind of internet connectivity, for example. Right? But what is the advantage of things going to the cloud? The advantage is if you lost your physical device, you are just hoping it doesn't get lost or it crashed. It would mean that when you now get a new device, a new laptop, a new desktop, you will need just to log in and the items that were in the cloud will be downloaded into that physical device. If you are using multiple devices, let's assume you are a scholar, you have your office desktop, and you have maybe a laptop at home. So in the office, you use the office desktop, and at home, you use the home laptop. It means you want to have access to this document wherever you are. Then that could be an advantage. But if you are just working on one device, then you might, that function could be redundant. So it just depends on you. If again, like now for me, because I use mass downloading, where the documents are quite a number. So you can imagine if I was to take all these 85,000 of them online and then download them in another device, it's really going to consume a lot of internet bundles. So I would rather, if I lost this, I must download in that other document, in that other device. So it just depends on you, but then those functionality are there. So we've said drag and drop. That's one way of doing that. Then we are also saying we can add. You can see here an option for add. It's written up here. And I just hope we are seeing my Mendeley so that we don't lose members. And you are free to ask a question as we go, because once we lose you in some of these steps, to get you back becomes a challenge, right? So we also say there's this option here, add. And when you click on add, you can see add files. And you just now need then to go to where you have the materials of interest. So like now for me, if materials of interest are here, then I can click on it and click open. And again, you can see the document there. So again, we are saying add, it opens up and you can click on it. If it is several, again, you can click on shift and click the 4 of them, for example, click open, and all of them now get into your Mendeley. We also have the similar add up here, and you can see the documents are here. We have the same functions up here, add files. Remember, what it is being called a file is a document. Don't get confused with the title file. It's just a document. The reference material that you are reading, the ebook that you are reading in PDF, that's what we are calling a file. And when the document comes here, you will see there's an icon there for PDF, because these are PDF documents. And when you double click on them, they open up and you can be able to read what it is that they are saying. So we also say the same option is up here, add files. So we've now said, we've now learned 3 different options for adding our documents. Number one is drag and drop. Number two is we can use this add. The function is already written add. We can use this file, and then again you can see add files, right? When you click on this arrow, again you can see add files. So there are so many ways of getting the same thing. So many ways of skinning the cat, as they say. So we are saying file, you can see add file. We are also saying this option here written add, when you click on it, it goes again to add files. We are also saying when you click on this small drop down, and I hope we can see it, again you can see add files. Good. So far we are assuming we have the PDF, the actual PDF in our document, in our machine. That's the assumption that we are having, right? But sometimes you could be reading a physical book. You could be reading a physical document. And we've said, for you to cite it, you need the details of that document inside the Mendeley desktop. Right? So how do we do that? So this time round, instead of adding a file, we are going to say add entry manually. And let's understand what is it that we are calling an entry. Let's go back. When we added our PDFs, they came up with this icon for PDF. And when you click on it, it opens up the PDF, right? And on the very end, on this very end, and I hope we can see where my cursor is going, there's this small arrow there. When you click on it, it opens the details of this PDF. These details are what we are calling entries. So for the PDF, once the PDF was into the Mendeley extracted the entries. What are the entries? The entries are just information, and sometimes we call it metadata. It is the information about this document, the information that you shall be in the reference details. So it is saying that this is a journal. So you see, what is the type? The type, it's a journal. That's what Mendeley is saying. That's what it has been able to extract. It is saying this is the title of this article. These are the author. This is the journal name, the year, the volume, and so on. So this is what we are calling the metadata or entries, because it is the information that will appear on your reference list. If these details are not okay, also your reference list details will not be okay. And what will you need to do? You will need to come and edit the metadata. So we are saying that when you drop in the Mendeley, a PDF into the Mendeley will try to extract. And we are saying as it extracts, the information may not necessarily be correct. So you will need to still preview. So for example, you can see here it is saying the year is 2021, but when you look at this document, the year is 2022, the year of publication. Now we are saying if you are reading a physical document, you then don't have the luxury of dropping a PDF here, right? So in such a case, what are you going to do? You're going to come to File, and then you can see Add Entry Manually. So what entries are you adding? Number one is to be able to look at the document that you are reading. What is it? Is it a book? Is it a journal article? What is it? So that's the type. So you can see here a type. And when you go down, It has all the many different things, all the many different types of documents that you could be reading. So you need to pick appropriately. And when you pick appropriately, it is going to change the entry items that you require. So the reason why here I'm being asked for the journal is because I have put a journal article. If I change this journal to a conference proceeding, you see, it's going to ask me different items, different entries, dependent on the type that I pick here. So it's always very important to ensure you've picked the right item. It's also very important for you to be generally aware from your research methodology class. When you are citing a book, what is the items required? What information is required? You need the author, you need the publisher, you need the year, and things like that. So you're going to populate appropriately all these information. You're going to populate appropriately. Then once you are done, you are going to click on save. So let's do, for example, just a random example. Let's assume we are reading a book, an introduction to research. So let's just assume that's the book. And then here we can have my name, for example. Right? So that's my name. So let's assume the book was done in 2023. What other information do I require? Maybe the publisher. Right? So you could be wondering, why am I choosing? Why have I not filled everything? Why have I not filled these other things? Right? It means it goes back to my knowledge of APA. What do I require? And if you're not very knowledgeable on APA, if you are using APA or whatever the style you're using, if you're not very knowledgeable on it, then there's somewhere to check. So there's this place, this one. So it has all the styles. They've summarized all the styles. I think it's a university. I don't know whether it is in the UK or in the US. So they've summarized all the many styles that we typically use, right? So let's go and check what we need for the book. So APA formatting, in-text, So for the books, what's the details we need for the book? So it is telling you, you need the author. So we've already put the author. We've already put the author here, right? You need what? The year of publication. You've already put the year of publication. You need what? The title of the work. And you'll see how they've been able to put it. Remember, what's the difference between APA 6 and APA 7? Right? Because there have been those changes that have come up between 6 and 7. So in 7, we want it this way. So, and we've done that. So this one is saying it needs to be a small. So you can see that was an error, capital, so you put it in small. And this one needs it to be in small. All right. Then, which is the other thing you need? Publisher's name. And we've put the publishers. That's the reason why I was going to the publisher's name. Say African Online School of Applied Research. So you can see I've not populated the others because I already know at the back of my mind what is required. If you don't know, then you need to keep on making reference. If you don't know some of these rules offhand. What is a DOI? Digital Object Identifier. And we shall see shortly how we can also use Digital Object Identifier to be able to update our reference item. Once we are now done, we click on OK. And you can now see the item is there. Maina, comma, Karanja, and then you can see an introduction to research, just the way we've put it. But then when you check down here or on this side, there is no PDF because we don't have a PDF for it. We are assuming we are reading a physical document. So the only thing we require is the reference item, the details, so that when it is time to cite it, then we can be able to cite the item. Good. Now, what is the other way in which you could get a document, a reference item into our Mendeley? So you could also have a situation where you know the DOI. You see this one, digital object identifier. So for example, let's come here. So we have this one. So you can see there's that link there, a DOI, right? Of what? Of this particular, of the particular document there. Editorial, the risk equation, thinking more creativity, you know. So it has a DOI. So you could come and put that DOI here and click on search. And what it does, it's been able to pick up those details from wherever the DOI is. Who provides DOI? Crossref. So we all know about Crossref from, again, our research methodology class. So you can put your DOI there. We've said you can put your DOI there and then click on search, and it is going to populate these items. And that is also some of the tricks that you use. If, for example, you had already started working on your document physically or manually. So, and then now maybe you're on chapter 1 and you decide now from this chapter henceforth, I shall be using Mendeley. But then you need to take those manual references into Mendeley. So one of the easiest way, instead of typing them manually, would be to check their DOI, put it here. Where will you check again? From Crossref. Okay. So from Crossref. Again, this is something you'd know from research methodology class. So there's somewhere from Crossref for checking the DOI. So you can take a title and put it here, and it's going to generate for you the DOI. You pick that DOI and you put it somewhere like this, and then you search, and it populates the details. So the references that you already have manually, the one that you've already typed manually, you pick them and drop them on Crossref, get their DOI, then you put your DOI at this particular point and search. Then once you are done, you click on save, and the item is at that particular point. So we now know how to work with this particular item, add entry manually. But then you could also do generate what we call a DOI. Not a DOI, but an RIS, research information system. You could generate a research information system. Now, let's first understand. Let me show you what it is. Then we try to understand what it is, right? So let's get here. Let's get to this particular place. So this is where you might get some of my books. So let's assume you are reading this book, a digital copy that you cannot download, right? Cannot download this book, but you want to cite it. So how do you download the DOI? I mean the RIS associated with it. right? So you could come, so there's this book, A Guide to Linear Regression Analysis in Thesis Writing for Social Sciences, right? So this is a book you are interested in to cite. Let's assume you have, for those in Kenya, you could have maybe a physical copy of it, or maybe you have a soft copy of it, but then since it is not in PDF, you cannot download it and put it on your Mendeley. So what could you do? So if a book has been cited many times, if you go to Google Scholar, right? So this is on Google Scholar. You search for this book. Where is this book now? Disappeared. You search for that book, A Guide to Linear Regression in Thesis Writing. So we have this document here. So you can see A Guide to Linear Regression Analysis in Thesis Writing for Social Sciences, which is the same book here, which is this book, right? And you can also search for the rest in mediation, in moderation, and so on. So this book is here because there are other people who have already cited it. Now, when you go down here, you can see this option for cite. And when you click on it, something like this comes up. And we have this thing here called a refman. And I want us to click on it and we see what happens. So we click on this refman. Okay. We click on this refman and something is going to download. Good. So you can see something has downloaded there, and you can see scholar.ris. Right? And when you go to where it is on Mendeley, when you go to where it is on the file, good. So here it is, scholar.ris. RIS stands for Research Information System. So this is in a format. It is the information of that book in a format that can be read by the software. Which software? Mendeley software, right? So all I now need to do is to drag and drop whatever downloaded and put it there. And when you check down here, it is checking whether that particular item is in my Mendeley. Good. And you can see the item now. If you check now, you can see it at this particular point. A Guide to Linear Regression in Thesis Writing for Social Sciences. So we are also saying you can download RISs. Where do we get these RISs? In Google Scholar. So like now, if you have a physical book, for example, a very popular book, instead of me populating it manually using this option of add entry manually, maybe I would search it. If it is so popular, it's going to end up in Scholar, in Google Scholar. And then I download the RIS at that particular point. It's an easier task maybe than adding the entry manually at this particular point. So many strategies of achieving the same thing, right? Now, where else? So one of the places you could get RIS is on Google Scholar, right? Then you could also get RISs on some of the journals. You will normally see some of the journals, you will see them saying cite this. Let me see whether this one has. Or let's check on this. You normally see them saying, cite these documents. Let's check on this. And when you click on it, then it's going to download the RIS again, and you can. Good. So when you check on this, and you click here more, has it come up? So you will normally see somewhere to good. So you can see whenever you see this icon for site and you click on it, then you might see somewhere saying download RIS. Again, so many things you could have used here. At least, again, they also had the DOI, so you could still have used the DOI. But when you come down here, you can see download to reference manager, right? And when you click here, you can see RefWorks. You can also see RIS. Any of this, you can download, drag and drop into Mendeley. So again, if you click on that, click on RIS, then you download it. And whatever downloads, you drag and drop it into Mendeley, right? So this one, you drag. So let's go. You drag and drop it into Mendeley. Good. Where else could we get RISs? From publish or perish. Again, for those of you taking the class on research, on writing, there's a whole course or there's a whole section on publish or perish, right? So again, if we look for publish, the link is on that. I've shown you where to get the link. Good. So this is publish or perish. Whatever you are interested in. So let's assume we are interested with organizational performance, and then we can do our search. So it's going to generate a lot of, materials for organizational performance. Remember, publish or perish is one of the softwares that is very good, especially if you are looking for research gaps. Because it's going to enable you to see a bird's eye view of what has been done in a particular topic within a particular timeline or within a particular country or within, those gymnastics. You can easily be able to do them on publish or perish. So that could be another lesson. But for today, let's see how to generate the RIS. So if you come here to save results, whatever results are here, you come and say save results. Again, you can see results as RIS. And when you click on it, it's going to save it on our desktop. So here it is, RIS. And by now, we now know what we need to do. We just need to drag and drop this one where? At that particular point. And you can see it is searching for duplicates. And if they are not duplicates, then it's going to put all those references into our Mendeley desktop. Good. How else could we get reference materials? We could also use Mendeley site. Remember the site that we said when we had opened that particular item for the course, there was an option there for Mendeley site. All right. So what is Mendeley site? The Mendeley site is important. Again, let's assume we were reading an article on Ministry of Education. We were reading a web page, for example. we were reading something on the web page. So this is for the Ministry of Education. So let's assume we were reading this particular item, government allows the TVET sector, saying it is on the right trajectory. All right. So this is something that has been updated. So this is what we are reading, and we need to cite it. So what options do we have? The first option is, of course, we could go and add the entry manually as a web page, right? So that's an option that is at our disposal. However, we could use Mendeley site, which is here. So you can see a red item here, which is called the Mendeley, not Mendeley site, but Mendeley Web Importer. Mendeley site is in the Mendeley Reference Manager. Mendeley Web Importer, to be able to import. What are you importing? You are importing the details that you need here. It's a web page, this is the title and all those kind of things. Where do you get this? Again, from where we had, where you could get the software for Mendeley desktop. Again, you will see a link for the Mendeley site. So what do? You click on it. And what is it going to try to do? It is going to try to read what is here, to extract what is here, to extract the details that are here. That's what it is going to try to do. Okay? So you give it a moment and we'll see what happens. And once that comes up, it's going to give you a window similar to this. Similar to this. It will have populated some, and you can edit the ones that maybe you disagree with or you feel it has not picked the right item. Is this thing working? Okay. It needs to be picking up. If it's not, then we are going to install and reinstall it. So we can remove it. We can remove it. And we reinstall. We see whether it's going to pick up. All right. Good. So that one has been removed. And we can come and say Mendeley Web Importer. And we reinstall it. So we've seen there are many ways in which we can be able to get the documents into. Are we seeing add to Chrome? We need to see an option of add to Chrome. Let's see whether you can see the Mendeley Web Importer. Not to worry, if it gives us trouble, we already know we have a good link that we've been able to put into our website. So let's see whether we can get it there. Good.
Are you finding it challenging to manage?
Good. So there we are. And we can create get web importer for Chrome. We need to see an option for add to Chrome. I don't know whether we are seeing it. Let me see. Good. I don't know why that's disappearing. But essentially, or maybe it has already been added. Let's see what is here. No, we don't have it. So I don't know why it is misbehaving, but essentially you need to add it to Chrome. And once you click on the details there, the details on that particular option, the details get into our Mendeley desktop. So those are the many different ways in which you could be able to get the references into our Mendeley desktop. Good. So up to that point, before we now move to the actual issues of citations, if you have a question, then this could be your chance to raise your question. If there is any arising issues on how to get these items, because the bigger chunk is getting your items into Mendeley. Now, one final thing that you could be able to do is to create what we call a watch folder, and that's what we want to do. What is a watch folder? Let's first understand what is a watch folder. When we are doing drag and drop, so let's create a folder here. And we call it watch folder. Let's understand what a watch folder is. We are saying where we were dragging and dropping the PDFs into our Mendeley would work when we have smaller number of PDFs. But then again, we might want to automate the process such that whatever is dropped into our watch folder is automatically uploaded into our Mendeley without us having to do anything, because you have connected the downloading and the uploading into Mendeley such that the process is automated. Right? So how do you do that? You click on File, and you can see an option here for Watch Folder. You click on it. And it's going to open up where you can now choose where you've created your watch folder. Right? So for us, we put it on top of our desktop. So we go to where our desktop is. So here's our desktop, and we have our watch folder. So we click on it, we click apply, we click on OK. So what we are now saying, if you drop an item here into this watch folder, it is going to be uploaded into our Mendeley desktop. But then we also want, as we are downloading the materials, because where are these materials coming from? Coming from one folder to another folder. They are coming from the internet. So we want, as we download the materials from the internet, they are being directed to that watch folder, And once they are directed to that watch folder, they are uploaded into our Mendeley desktop. All right. So what do? We click on this, and we can see an option here for settings. We click on it. And when we go to this other end, you can see an option for download. We click on it, and you can see where my downloads are going. And I want to change that into my watch folder. Good. So what have I done? What I have done is I have now directed my Google Chrome to direct my downloads to this watch folder. And I had already created this watch folder and linked it to my Mendeley. So anything that goes to my watch folder will automatically be uploaded into my Mendeley. So let's see that in action. So if we go, let's go to Google Scholar. And we say organizational performance. So here we can see maybe about 5 or 6 PDFs. So let's download them. So when we download them, good. You will see when you come to your watch folder, you will see the items are being downloaded into our watch folder. And the items, once downloaded into our watch folder, are going to be uploaded into our Mendeley. So where is our Mendeley? Oh, the Mendeley switched off. So let's put it on. So as they are being uploaded, as they are being downloaded, they will be uploaded if the Mendeley is running. If the Mendeley is not running, when you open it up, it's going to pick up those documents from your watch folder and upload them into Mendeley without you having to do anything. So that is the importance of a watch folder. Good. Now we have someone asking on how you avoid duplicate materials into Mendeley. We'll be able to see that. We have someone asking on in writing references using do you need to use the latest version? The answer is yes. Remember on Mendeley, and this is something to note. Remember on Mendeley, you have an option of changing the styles from, let's say, APA 7 to something else. You even have an option of downgrading. You don't want to use APA 7. For whatever reason, you've decided you want to use APA 6. Right? So in Mendeley, you can do that. In Mendeley, you can even create your own citation style if you are so inclined. It has those options for doing those kind of things. You can create a style from scratch. Some of the universities abroad, because of their unique peculiarities or what they want, you might find that they have modified an existing style. They have modified certain components of those styles, and that's how they use it at the university level. Right? So those options are possible. You could also find, and this is where some of that information or some of those knowledge could be important. You could also find, because of sometimes challenges in information, that this is what maybe APA 7 is, saying should be done, right? But then you find maybe by bad luck, maybe your department have not upgraded, or your supervisor has not read what is the current version saying. So you find you keep on being turned back as a result of certain dynamics, then you decide to downgrade to APA 6, or you decide to modify APA 7 to what your supervisor essentially wants. And we shall see some of those components shortly. Let's get straight to issues of citation, unless there's issues of how to get materials here, so that within the next maybe 20 or so minutes, essentially we are done, so that I don't keep you for long, because I'm seeing we are almost exhausting the time that we had set for ourselves. Good. So let's come to our document, and this is where we want to do our write-up and to do our citations in this write-up. So on a blank Word document like what I have, we are going to put where we want our references to be. So we want our references. So this is where we want our references to be, right? And our references are going to be heading 1. So let me put them to be heading 1. Okay, so this is not even Mendeley, this is just word functions. Good. So this is where we want our references to be. So this is a blank Word document. This is the time you've started writing. Right? So we are going to come and put our cursor here. And our cursor is blinking. Then we shall get to references. And we shall insert a bibliography. So we've inserted a bibliography. Let's understand a few things here. On a normal Word, you're not going to see the icons for Mendeley, because this is an icon for Mendeley, this is an icon for Mendeley. You're not going to see these icons on a normal Word. It is something you need to install in your Word. How do you install them? You come to this particular place called Tools, and you can see mine is saying uninstall MS Word plugin, because I've already installed it. So in your case, if you've not installed it, you're going to see an option here saying install MS Word plugin. So you click on it to install. And once you do that, you're going to see these particular options. So we've inserted our bibliography. What is a bibliography? The reference list, whatever is normally at the bottom of your work. This one. That is what we've done. But we don't have items in this document yet, right? But we've already made provision for it. Then we are going to change here from Chicago to whatever style is of interest. So like now you can see on my machine, I have APA 7. And I also have 6. I also have APA 7, but you can see it is written also as LMS. So this is an APA 7 that I have modified certain dynamics of it because of other dynamics or because of other reasons, right? So for us, I don't want us to modify anything. I want us to work with what is there on default. So we click on APA 7. So we now have references. We now have whatever has been generated there. This is a blank Word document. So now we are going to write on top here. Right? So let me get just some dummy content to illustrate how to do citations. For you, of course, you're not going to have dummy content. You're going to actually write. But for this lesson, let me just have dummy content that we can use to illustrate today's lessons. Remember, you're also not going to write then you cite. You're going to cite as you write. Yeah. But today's lesson, since it is about citations, let's have just content that we can use. Good. So this is content that we have. Good. So this is content that we have. As we are doing citations, we need to get cognizant of two items. Number one, what we call parenthetical citation. So this is what we are calling parenthetical citation, normally at the end of a sentence, right? At the end of a sentence, right? Then you could have narrative. Let's see whether you have narrative, like this one. The one that is already embedded into the paragraph, into the sentence. So this is what we are calling a narrative. For those of you using other citation styles, don't get worried, because shifting is just a matter of clicking here and changing. And you can change, even after you've cited the document, you can change them to whatever you want with just a click of a button. So don't get worried if you're using MLA or you are using Chicago and so on. Don't get worried on that. First, concentrate on getting citation into this document using Mendeley, right? So we first want to understand how to do these parenthetical citations, the ones that are typically at the end of the paragraph or at the end of a sentence. So we come to this particular point, which is where we want to put our citation. Then we click on Insert Citation. We click on Insert Citation. And when we click on that, a dialog box appears, which you can see there, and it gives you an option: search by author or title or year. So if you already know the author that you want to cite, you're already reading him, you already know who I want to cite. So for example, we could want to cite the book by Karanja Minor, like now the one that we put, right? So what is it going to do? It's going to search where in your database. It's not going to search for what you already don't have in your database. It is going to search for what you have in your database. So you can see the item there appearing, and then now you can go and scroll down and get the specific document that is of interest. So let's assume that is of interest. I click on OK. And the item appears there. Maybe I can put there a space. The item appears there. And when you go to the reference list, the item is already on the reference list. Good. So let's do that again. We are saying you could be knowing the author. You put your cursor where you want to do the citation. You click on Insert Cite. And then search by author, title, or year. So let's search by, we had searched by author. So you could search by author. Say Mugenda Mugenda. Let's assume that's the author. Then it searches through. And let's assume, and now you scroll through using this to the actual item that you are seeing that you are interested. Let's assume this is of interest. We click on it, click OK. And it appears there. And when you now go to the reference list, it has been upgraded automatically. So we are saying the first way is when you know the details, either the author or you know the title. So let's assume we now want a situation where we know the title, right? So what is our title? So let's say research methods. Let's assume that's our title, right? So it's going again to search through. and get you all those items that have that particular item. And then you scroll down the way we've scrolled in the other one. So all these items, they have the word research methods in them. So all I need to do now is to look for the appropriate one, the one that I am referring to, by scrolling up and down until maybe I see it. So let's assume this is what is of interest. We click on it, and there it is, and we click on OK, right? And we can always put a space there so that there's a space. And when you now go to the very bottom, you will see they keep on. And that's the importance of having automated citation. They keep on upgrading it, right? So let's do one more in a different way. Let's come here and we click on that. Let's assume we wanted to cite this book by Maina and this book by Mogenda at the same time. So we could come there and say, good. So let's assume this is the book we wanted to cite. We click on it. And then nothing stops us from searching again to get an additional reference. And this search, we've said you could search by name, you could search by title. So let's assume that one. So there we are. And we click on OK. And you can see now both of them have been added, right? And when you now go down, you will see the item again have been appropriately updated. Good. Now, we also have a situation where this is our Mendeley, right? We were reading a document here. So, for example, we were reading this document. So, the document is already open in Mendeley. And maybe we were even reading a series of documents, because when you click on them, if they have a PDF, they open up, right? So this is the document we were reading. These are the documents we were reading, and we want to cite them. So what do we do? Again, let's assume we are interested with citation here. We click on this, but this time around, if we knew the other, we could use that, but nothing stops us from saying, go to Mendeley. And once you are here now, let's assume this is the document you want to cite. So you click on it, and up here, there's an option for cite. So you click on cite. And there it is. And as usual, again, it updates. Right? So someone is asking about the recording. The recording is there. Remember, there's a whole course that you can take for free. And this recording will also be put there as one of the items in the references, as one of the items that you can review in the e-learning. And it's absolutely free of charge in this particular month. Good. Let's do that again. So let's assume we need it here. We are saying, we go to Mendeley. We were reading this document. So let's assume we were reading this. We cite, right? And let's assume we are also reading this other one. We also cite it. So we have two of them. But we don't want them to look like this because of this. So what do? We can click on them, highlight them, then click on merge citation. You can see option here. And I want you to see what will happen when we click on merge citations. Right? It has been able to merge them because they are close together. You don't need them to be one by one. You need to merge them. So we are saying you could be reading these documents and we'll see how to cite them if those are the documents that you are reading. Finally, you could also click this, go to Mendeley, but instead of now going to these ones that you are reading, maybe there are others of interest here, and you can scroll down. and maybe you find the one that is of interest you want to cite. You click on it, and it is highlighted. You can see it is highlighted in blue. And up here now you click on cite. Good. Up to that point, is there anybody lost? Anybody lost? Anyone with a question? Good. So we've now seen how to do, yes, Wabwire? Unmute yourself.
I've unmuted myself. I
Okay.
wanted to find out from you when you created when you're explaining, you created a Word document and then created references.
Yes.
Now, if I'm writing a document of about 10 pages,
Yes.
does it mean that at the end of the day I will have to separate that reference from the main document?
Come again.
What I'm saying is, from your illustration, you created a blank document, a Word document.
Yes.
So you inserted the statements or paragraphs there, and then you are using that one to create the reference. Now, supposing I've written my document, I was able to cite the references in the document, but I want to create now a separate reference for that. What do I do?
Okay. Yes. Let me see whether I understand what you're asking. So, Wabwire is raising the question of, when we started, I had already created this reference list so that as I am writing here, the reference list keeps on updating. So the question he's asking, if I'm getting him right, is suppose you had already written, right? But then you had not done the way I had started with the reference before I started writing. Nothing, it's not a challenge, because all I need, let's assume we didn't have that. All I would need to do is where I want my reference to be, I would go and create a reference list, references, and generate them at that point, right? The same case, and I need us to check this very, very careful. I need us to really put some attention here, because this is where sometimes issues emerge. When you highlight these documents, you can see on where we have a reference, there's something that looks like a grayish. I don't know whether we can see that. There's something that looks grayish on top of the references, right? What that means is, if I picked this document, let's assume this is now my journal article, right? And I extract it. And I paste it. And you can see the option I'm using for paste. Keep source formatting, and we will see what is the difference. When I do that and I highlight, they are still there. So all I will need to do now is to create a reference for now. Let's assume this was my journal article, that we have extracted it from that huge document, and generate the bibliography for it. And there it is. All I need to do now is to format this by creating other space there, right? Now, why am I emphasizing on this? Where have they gone? So what has happened is, my new word is on Chicago, so I just need to take it back there. Good. So why am I emphasizing this? I want you to see, if I copy this, and I take it to new document, and then instead of doing keep source, let's say I say merge formatting. Not even merge formatting. Let's say I say text only. You see now, on text only, I have lost that capacity. And this is what happens sometimes when you are sharing your document with your supervisor and it is moving from word version, someone copied, someone pasted, you lost. So anytime you're working on a document, first ensure you are seeing those things, so that now, if I now tried to generate here a bibliography, it's going to say there's no references in this document. Why? I have lost that capacity. So always when you are sharing, when you are saving, always use keep source formatting. We've also said it is not a must you start with putting the references the way I started. It's just that is my preference, because I want to see as I am writing or as I am sourcing, they are updating. As I am citing, they are updating. But nothing stopped you from writing the entire thing. Then once you are done, you go and create a reference where you want and generate them at that point in time. Good. I don't know whether, I hope I've answered you, Abuire, on that particular issue. Good. Now let's learn something else before we go to the narrative, right? Because what we've done so far so far, we've done at the end of the citations. I mean, at the end of the sentences, and this is what we are calling parenthetical. So let's assume we wanted them embedded in the sentences. We want them embedded in the sentences, and that is what we call narrative, according to Minor 2022, for example. So here, for example, you could be having according to, right? And then we want now a citation here, and then the sentence will continue. So what do? We follow a similar step. All the many steps that we already know, we follow the same step. We follow the same step, right? So we click on that, and let's assume we are interested in this, we cite it there, right? So there it is, Chapter D et R 2022 said that or noted that, right? But we need to manually remove this bracket there and put it there. And once we click elsewhere, it's going to ask us whether we want to maintain that. So this is how you do the narrative. So let me repeat that. So we are saying you put the citation the normal way we've done for the parenthetical, but then you will need to manually remove this and put it where it needs to be. And when you do that, it's going to ask you whether you want to keep it manually, and you keep manually. So that's what needs to happen, right? However, before you do that, so let me take it back. Before you do that, you need first, before I remove this bracket, you need first to have worked through your reference list. Let me repeat that. Before you remove this bracket here for the narrative, you need to have worked through this reference list. What is the reason? As once you are done with your citation, you will need to come and manually inspect your reference items. And why will you need to manually inspect them? You will need to manually inspect them to ensure that they conform to whatever citation style you want. Then you could be asking yourself, why could they be not conforming? If you had the wrong items, the metadata, remember we talked about these items. If it has picked the wrong details or the wrong format, if the input is wrong, the output is wrong. So for example, when we look at this, what is the issue here in as far as APA is concerned? You will see we don't need this to be capital, right? This now boils down to your knowledge of APA. If you're not knowledgeable on APA, you will need to go back to the website we said. So let's go back there and we see on APA how you need to cite a journal, and we see whether it is in title case or it is in small letters. All right? So if you don't know APA often, you're not going to examine it and know whether there is a problem. So you need those common things. Let's go to where we have periodicals, right? And we look at how to the journal, article in print journal, right? So it has given you a format. Reference list articles in periodicals, right? So it has given you a format that tells you what? Look at the title. The title is only the capital. The rest of the items are in small letter, unless there is a semicolon, for example. And that's why you see here an example, the eclipse of listening. And you can see the E is not in capital, the L is not in capital. Unlike in APA 6. Unlike in APA 6. So, if you are not knowledgeable of your citation style, you're not going to be able to examine this and know where there is an issue. Right? So, when I look at this, I already know there is an issue. This metadata, there is an issue. You could even have issues in names, in years, and so on. So, what will I need to do? I will need to go and amend. And as I am amending here, excuse me, if I am amending here, if I amend the name, it is also going to be updated. And that's why we are saying you don't remove this bracket such that in the event we needed to amend the name, it is going to be undone. So we want to do it, or we want to remove this bracket on the final draft, not on something that can be undone once we start examining this. Yeah. So we now need to trace this particular item. So we copy it. You come here and paste it so that it searches. So there it is. Now we are in trouble. What is the trouble? The trouble is we have a lot of documents that are similar. So how could we have mitigated this? Because there's one step we jumped. How could we have mitigated this? We needed to have eliminated duplicates, and someone had asked that particular question. So before you work, you'd come here and you can see an option for checking duplicates. What is the disadvantage of having duplicates? So this is one of the disadvantages. So right now, we don't know which one was cited. We don't know which one was cited so that we can amend it. So right now we don't know. So what is the remedy for us? The remedy for us is to put something that uniquely, so let me see how I'm going to try and run around the issue. Now that we didn't do the right thing from the start, and we need to identify either I amend all this or I identify the unique one that I need to change. So I'm just putting something and you will see what I'll do. So just observe. So what I have done is to ensure all of them have something unique. Then I come and refresh. So let's go back. We need to refresh so that it picks up the thing. So nothing is appearing. It means that it is not amongst the ones that we've changed. So we've changed that. We've changed that. We've changed this. Yeah. So just a moment. Let's add another citation here. Let's add another citation there. Let's add another citation there. What I want to do is to force this one to update. Let's see. We need to uniquely trace this so that so that we can amend it appropriately. If we can't trace which one it is from these four, good. So we have that, we have that. If we can't trace which one it is, which option do we have? We can delete this one. We can delete all of them. We can delete all of them and we see what will happen. We can delete all of them. If that becomes a problem, we delete all of them. So let's delete all this. So I've deleted that. Good. Let's delete all that. And then what will we do? Then on this one, let's now refresh. Now, what am I trying to do? We need to understand the rationale. If I give you this document and you didn't have these references in your Mendeley, right? If you continue citing or you click refresh, Mendeley will pick these references and put them into your version of Mendeley. Let me repeat that. If I give you this document as it is, and you don't have these references, right? You don't have these references in your Mendeley, and you continue citing this document. So for example, you continue with another paragraph and you start citing, but you didn't have these references. What will Mendeley first try to do? It is first going to extract what is here and put it in that Mendeley. So that is the same reason that I have deleted those four, because now I can't trace which one it is. I have an option of either I update all of them, right? Or delete all of them. Then now, because that reference will not be in Mendeley, now force Mendeley to extract this reference from this document and put it back into our Mendeley, right? And then now from there, I'm just going to have one item in Mendeley, with that name, and then I can amend it. Good. So let's see whether we have it now. So it is still refreshing. Because of this one item, it is still trying to get it into Mendeley. So you can see this is active. And when I click now, I can't click until it is done with this. And once it is done, this item that we've deleted will go back into Mendeley. But this time around, it is just going to be one item. And we are going now to amend the metadata for that one item. So in a nutshell, what are we saying? We are saying we will need to examine each one of these one at a time. One at a time. And where there are issues, go back to Mendeley, search that particular item, amend the metadata. So for example, if you look at item number 3, environment, so item number 2 looks okay, because it has the authors, the article is okay, the journal is okay, the details are okay, the DOI is there, so that's okay. But item number 3 has an issue. And what is the issue? When we look at the journal name, environmental economics, and there are certain dots there, it means that the full name was not picked. So what will you do? You will trace that particular article in Mendeley, then go to the metadata and put the full name of the journal. How will you know the full name of the journal? You copy this item into Google Scholar, or you trace it from wherever it is and put the full name of the journal. If it has a PDF, you read from the PDF and amend appropriately. Right? So you need to do that for each one of your entries. The good thing is, once you do it once, you don't need to do it twice. So once you've amended an entry into your Mendeley, so tomorrow is still going to be there. So the ones that you've cleaned up today, tomorrow you don't need to clean them up. And that's what I normally advise for those who are writing very lengthy documents. The PhD document is on a particular day, once you've worked on a Saturday, and by the time it is 3 or 4, you're already very, very tired, right? And it is time to grab a cup of coffee. At that particular point, you could be coming to your reference list and seeing the entries that are not okay and amending them on Mendeley, because this doesn't require a lot of thinking. It can be done even at 3 or 4 when you are tired. So this is not work that you are expecting someone in the morning. That's what they are doing. In the morning, you need to be doing the heavy lifting of writing. In the evening or at 3, when you are very tired, then you are looking at this item and appropriately doing the clerical tasks required of your work. Good. So as we wait for it to refresh, I could be taking questions that we could be having. So we said to avoid this kind of scenario, what do? We ensure before we start writing that we've done what? We've checked for duplicates. All the duplicates will appear here, and then you can click on merge all of them. So that again has been appropriately indicated to us in our in the e-learning course. Good. So we could take questions. Yes, Raphael? Unmute yourself. Are you able to unmute yourself? Good. Now you can see, before Raphael talks to us, you can see what it is trying to do. Some of the cited reference, I hope we can see. Some of the cited reference are in your trash. Please choose whether to restore. So we click on OK. And what is now going to happen is, it is going to be that one document. Remember, there were 4. The one document now is going to be restored. So let me illustrate this, Raphael, before I give you a chance. It's going to be restored. And now once we search again now, we only have one document that now meets our criteria. And now this one document, what do we want to do? To edit the metadata. So we click on it, and we now remove these capitals that we said now are not okay. We remove them, right? We remove them, we amend appropriately. That's what we are saying. So these are proper nouns, names of countries, so those ones can stay. And once now we are done, what will we do? We will now click on refresh up here, refresh. And you can see now it has appropriately refreshed. Good. So you now need to do that for each one of them. And now once you are done with each one of them, right? Each one of these, once you are now done, you now come back now and amend where you have the narrative. Good. So Raphael, you can unmute yourself. Are you able to unmute yourself? Oh, okay. I think we've lost him. You can still type. Good. Someone
Hello.
is. Yes.
My internet is unstable, but I've even written my question.
Okay. Okay.
So that to make sure we got everything, because like me, I'm at a stage where I just need to improve my writing because I've already written my research papers. I need to make sure I plan and apply it properly.
Thank you for that, Raphael. So,
yes.
Thank you for that. So I've seen your question asking on the issues of the recording. So the recording, we are going to put it on our e-learning, right? On this particular course, the course for Mendeley desktop, the one that we said is already free for all of us. So when you come to this particular one, Mendeley desktop. So when you click on enroll, so there's this course on Mendeley desktop. So this recording is going to be put inside it. So all you need to do is to come and enroll. And then you're also going to see the other lessons that are custom made. Remember, we've moved in a very fast pace because it's just 2 hours and we needed to cover grounds. But those items have also been explained systematically in the course, because the course follows the micro teaching, one concept at a time. So they are short videos just to capture things or what you need to learn in a systematic manner. So once you do that, you're going to see that. But this particular recording, again, is going to be put inside this particular course, and all of us can be able to access it at that point. Good. So I don't know whether there are other questions as we come to the end of the session. So we are hoping each one of us can be able to appropriately use Mendeley desktop for the purposes of citation. So in respect to the way forward, there are certain things that then I would ask of us, right? Number one is to be able to log into the system and learn, because it's there, it's been provided for free. And as you are learning, also provide feedback. So you can always chat me and provide feedback, maybe what was not clear. The system will also send you assignments when they are due. Kindly try the assignment. What we are trying to do at ours, and I'm hoping I'm having challenges around that. We are trying to have a competency-based way of doing things or of learning, which means it is not listening and cramming. It is doing. You can cite. And some of these things, if you don't do, then they evaporate. After 2 or 3 months, you find you've not gotten some competencies. It's all about competencies. And that's why for every course, some assignment will always come your way. And it gives you instructions on what you need to do in terms of those assignments and how you will get feedback, because it is not cramming. There's nothing to cram. You have to know how to cite. You have to know how to put materials into your Mendeley. You have to know how to do the RI. You have to literally do it for you to say you know. So way forward is all of us are asked to be able to log in, enroll. After a while, the system will start sending you assignments on its own. For those of you who have enrolled, by now, some of you could be receiving assignments and what you need to do on those things. As you are learning, also give me feedback. Then number 2, also invite your friends to join us, right? So that we are a bigger group. So for those of you who are joining us for the first time, I'm just going to put my number on the chat. Then you can click on, you can just send me add to group so that I can add you to the WhatsApp groups that you know, we are there. Or you could even ask your friend that has invited you to the session to add you to the group, because each one of us is an admin. So let's also invite friends essentially to also join us and to participate in this. Then we also have the scholarship, so it's available for us. So and the poster is there, so you could also you know, invite your friends again to be able to apply for these opportunities when they exist. Remember, sometimes when we are having these courses, and they are costing this much, so some of the issues that sometimes arise is that you know, because of the dollars, the courses are a little bit sometimes expensive because of the exchange rate. So this is now the time essentially to be able to utilize the opportunities that are there in terms of scholarship, you know, and get that particular opportunity. So we can be able to click on it and apply. So the process are already there. Then, of course, we also have our e-repository that you can get all materials for research. And I keep on emphasizing, let's use these resources, because that's the reason why they are there. At the end of the day, on the back office, for me, then I'm also checking and seeing what is the utilization level, so that you can see, do we really need it? Do we maintain it? Do we not maintain it? So when you use, then I'm also able to see, oh, this is a useful material. So we have our repository where we have the books, all these books. So you click on that, for example, handbook on that, you click on that, and you are able to download the book and read on it. So this is a full-length book. It's not being sold, right? So you can be able to check on that. Then finally, of course, the courses are there on various issues. And then we also have consultancy. And I need to emphasize on that. The consultancy is for that person who is writing, and we can be able to engage one-on-one and discuss. So you will do the writing, we discuss, just the same way you do, for example, a group work. So as you're writing your thesis, we can be able to discuss, you know, for those who are doing your PhD, for example, we can be able to discuss in a structured manner on your specific work in respect to writing. not necessarily the subject matter. In respect to writing, all of us will be able to see the costing. Don't get worried on the Kenya shillings. So wherever you are, you should be able to see either in dollars or in your local currency, dependent on where you are. But this is also to enable us have a discussion, a one-on-one, not in a group, a one-on-one where we are able to discuss. You have a topic, so where did the topic come from? You have this statement of the problem, so where did you sort of come up with this topic? What is the problem? Just the normal typical things as you are writing, right? It is not a writing product, it is a coaching product. You will write. So for me, we'll be just discussing, maybe pointing you to the right direction. Then you do the write-up and so on. Good. So I've seen Daniel. Your hand was up. So you can unmute yourself.
Sorry, I think I'm okay now. I was trying to from the Word document and then do the citation from Mendeley, but I had a bit of challenge, but I've been able to do it now.
Good for that. Yeah. Thank you for that. Good. There's someone saying, just WhatsApp me so that I'm also able to pick up your country number. Just WhatsApp me on that line, so that it's easier for me that way, so that I'm able to pick up your country code. Otherwise, as it is right now, we are mixed up from different countries. So I may not know this number is from which particular country, and that becomes a challenge. So just WhatsApp me, click on add. Alternatively, I can even see whether I can get a link. I can get a link at, let me see, I can get a link here, which I can put on the WhatsApp group. Good, so you can get this link. Good, there it is. So I don't know if there is any other arising issue either on Mendeley or on, so there is the number and the link. I don't know if there's any arising issue on Mendeley or on the programs that we have. So if there is none, then I want to wish each one of us a very good weekend and the remainder of the Saturday. Let's keep on engaging on these issues. Let's hear different voices from different countries on what you are using. I know some of you could be using Zotero. We want to hear those experiences. Some of you could be using Citavi, EndNote, and the like. So let's keep on engaging. Let's keep on adding more members to our groups and so on. So someone is asking me, explain the consultancy on resources and references. Good. So, okay, so this is this. So what the person is asking is on consultancy on the references must be on these particular items, right? We're able to extract, dependent on your topic, we are able to extract the reference materials that you need and email them to you. All right. Remember, this consultancy, it's something one-on-one. So you could have XYZ topic. So we are able to extract those materials and send them to you. So you can see on my reference list, I have about so many that we are able to extract. So that's what essentially it means. Resources and on the references. That's what it essentially means. The materials can be extracted and sent to you either on WhatsApp or on email, whichever could be comfortable for you. And for each of these products, if you click on it, it gives you a write-up, right? When you click on it at this point, it gives you an explanation of what it entails. So it gives you an explanation of what it entails. If it is something we need to discuss, right? Like now the coaching where there is a discussion, it gives you somewhere to schedule time with us. So after you've made your payment, if it is something we need to discuss, you click on that and you're able to see a calendar that comes up, and the calendar is going to populate in your local time zone. So like now you can see it has picked that I'm in East Africa. So it's going to come up in your local time zone, wherever you are. And when you click on this, then it gives you the time schedules that are available. And when you click on that and schedule the time, right? So for example, if you click on this, then it has somewhere where you put your name, your details, anything, and you click schedule event, and it's going to send you a Zoom link and send me a Zoom link. If we need to reschedule on that Zoom link, there's somewhere where it says reschedule, and you are able to reschedule. So we are trying to really automate every single thing that we need to do so that we are truly online. Because you see, we are an online, so that we are truly online. Good. So unless there is any arising issue, if there is none, then I want to wish each one of you the very best for the remainder of the day and for the entire weekend. Let's keep on engaging, and let's have a good day. Thank you, and see you next time.